Welcome to Hard Script. If you've ever felt stuck in a relationship that slowly erased you, hit like, drop a comment, share it with a brother who needs to hear he's not crazy.
We hadn't touched in 3 months. Not even accidentally. No brush of fingers. No shoulder in passing. Just cold parallel movement. 2 ghosts under one roof. She said she was tired. Work was hard. Hormones. Stress. I said I understood. Because I did. Because I wanted to. Because I was taught that good men wait. That real connection takes time. That pressure ruins everything. So I stopped asking. Stopped initiating. Stopped hoping. Started watching. She started locking her phone again. Laughed louder at messages I didn't see. Took longer showers. Stayed late at work, even when no one else did. I still paid the bills. Still made coffee. Still took the dog out every morning at 6:30. Routine never noticed we were dying. One night, I rolled over in bed and whispered, "Are we okay?" She didn't move. Didn't even lie. Just said, "I'm tired." I whispered back, "I know." She fell asleep in 5 minutes. I stared at the ceiling until dawn. I didn't confront her. Not because I was afraid. Because I still believed patience could fix things. That's what good men do, right? They wait. They give space. They don't pressure. So I waited. Mornings became quiet rituals. I'd make coffee. Set her mug exactly where she liked it. Handle turned right. She'd grab it. Nod once. Already scrolling. No, thank you. No eye contact. Just motion. At night, we shared a bed like co-workers on a business trip. Same mattress. Different worlds. I stopped reaching for her. Not as a test. Not to punish. I just stopped. And she noticed. Not right away. But after a week, she started glancing over more often. Like she was checking if something important was still there. "You okay?" she asked one night. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." She nodded, relieved. That was the moment I understood something uncomfortable. She liked it better when I needed less. The late nights started stacking. First it was deadlines. Then drinks with the team. Then vague explanations that sounded practiced. She'd come home smelling like outside. Not sweat. Not work. Wind. Perfume. Something that didn't belong to our house. I didn't accuse. I told myself I was being paranoid. That marriages go through phases. That intimacy ebbs and flows. I read articles. Watched videos. Listened to podcasts that told me to communicate better, to be softer, to be patient. So I tried. One night, I cooked dinner. Nothing fancy. Her favorite. We sat across from each other, forks clinking. "I miss you," I said quietly. She froze for half a second. Then smiled. Not warm, not cold. Neutral. "I'm right here," she said. That answer didn't sit right. But I let it pass. Because that's what I'd been doing, letting things pass. The next morning, I found a receipt in the trash. Lunch for 2. Downtown. During work hours. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then folded it and threw it back away. I didn't want proof. I wanted peace. But peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from truth. And the truth was already pressing against the walls of our life. That night, she rolled over and faced me. Her hand brushed my arm. "Hey," she said softly. I turned toward her, heart lifting like an idiot. Then she pulled back. "Never mind," she said. "Good night." And just like that, the door closed again. I lay there, staring at the dark, realizing something painful. I wasn't competing with another man. I was competing with her indifference. And I was losing. A week later, I ran into her co-worker at the gas station. I wasn't trying to be nosy. I just wanted a Gatorade and some peace. But then she smiled and said, "You must be glad she's finally getting out more. We've been pushing her to go have some fun." I blinked. "Yeah, fun's important." "She said you were in Denver for work this weekend?" the woman asked casually. I wasn't. I hadn't left town in a month. I paid for the drink, nodded, and left. No expression. No follow-up questions. Just another note in the back of my mind. When I got home, she was on the couch, barefoot, watching some show she didn't even like. I could tell. Her laugh was delayed, forced. I sat beside her. She leaned against me like always, but lighter than before. Less weight. Less presence. She smelled different. Like hotel soap and someone else's cologne masked under citrus. I didn't say a word. Because I was learning something. Sometimes, the more you ask, the better they lie. So I said nothing. And she grew more relaxed. More careless. More confident that I wasn't going anywhere. That night, she left her phone face up for the first time in weeks. Not unlocked, of course, but still, a shift. While she showered, a message popped up. Just a preview. Tonight was amazing. You looked. That's all I saw. Just a single fragment of someone else's truth bleeding into my screen time. She came back into the room in her robe, smiled, kissed my head. Thanks for always being patient with me, she said. I know I've been distant. I smiled. Don't worry. I get it. Her shoulders dropped in relief, like she thought she'd just passed a test. She had no idea I stopped grading her weeks ago. She curled up next to me on the bed. I didn't touch her. I just stared at the ceiling while she drifted off. She breathed like she was safe. And maybe she was. Because I still hadn't decided what I was going to do. But I knew this. I'd never beg again. Never chase again. Never ask her to come back to something she was already burning behind my back. The only question left was this. Would I leave quietly? Or let her hear the sound of everything she killed? And even then, I wasn't sure which would hurt her more. I started watching patterns. Not just hers, mine. I realized how often I adjusted my tone, my posture, my words, just to keep things calm. How often I swallowed discomfort so she wouldn't feel confronted. How I'd been molding myself into something smaller, softer, just to stay tolerated. And it made me sick. She wasn't violent. She wasn't cruel. But she didn't care. And that's worse sometimes. Indifference doesn't break you all at once. It erodes you slowly. Like water on stone. She started talking more, ironically, once I stopped trying. Little things. You always forget to unload the dishwasher. Can you not slam the door when you come in? Don't forget my dry cleaning tomorrow. She was testing the waters, maybe, seeing how far my silence would stretch. I just nodded, smiled. She thought it meant submission. But it was strategy. The less I said, the more she revealed. One night, she came home late, again, and dropped her bag a little too loudly. I looked up from the couch. She froze, caught off guard that I was still awake. She offered nothing. No explanation. No lie. Just walked past me, into the kitchen, opened the fridge, grabbed wine. Rough night. I asked calm. She shrugged. Not really. Cool, I said. You were out with coworkers again? She took a sip. Yeah. Long pause. You never mentioned who, I said. No accusation. Just a sentence. She hesitated. Blinked once. Then smiled too wide. Just the usual crew. You don't know them. I nodded. Right. Silence. She turned away. That moment was the shift. Because she knew I didn't believe her. And I knew she didn't care. But for the first time, I felt her flinch. Not physically. Emotionally. Like something clicked. Like maybe I wasn't as blind as she thought. I didn't push. Didn't ask for names. Didn't ask why she smelled like hotel conditioner again. I just stood up, took my glass to the sink, and said, I'll be out early tomorrow. Don't wait on me. She looked over. Curious. Maybe nervous. Where you going? Does it matter? I said, almost gently. And I watched something flicker behind her eyes. A new equation. One where I was no longer just background furniture. I went to bed. Slept deeply for the first time in weeks. And in the morning, I drove across town and opened a new bank account. Separate. Untouchable. Because the game hadn't ended. It was just beginning. She started calling me more during the day. Little things. Pointless things. Hey, did you eat yet? Do we still have toothpaste? Don't forget to lock the back door tonight. None of it mattered. But I answered every call. Calm. Collected. Because it wasn't about the questions. It was about her tone. She was fishing. Trying to find something in my voice. Some crack. Some proof that I was still wrapped around her. I gave her nothing. And the silence scared her more than any fight could have. That weekend, she suggested a movie night. Just like old times. Pizza, wine, something romantic. I agreed. She smiled. The smile she used when she wanted credit for trying. We sat on the couch, lights low, her head on my shoulder. Halfway through the movie, she took my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. She shifted, adjusting her position, like it was my coldness making her uncomfortable. When the movie ended, she stretched and yawned like it had been the perfect night. I missed this, she said. I nodded. Me too. She waited for more. A kiss. An invitation. A thaw. I stood up, picked up the empty glasses, and said, I'm going to turn in. I didn't look back. Next morning, she was already up. Cooking breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast. She hadn't done that in years. I walked into the kitchen, half amused. She turned around, smiled too brightly. Thought I'd surprise you, she said. You did. I poured coffee, sat down. She placed the plate in front of me and hovered. I looked up. You okay? She bit her lip. Are we okay? I took a bite of toast, chewed slowly, then said, why wouldn't we be? Her eyes darted. I don't know. You've been quiet. I shrugged. I've been thinking a lot. About us. I looked at her for a long second, then smiled. About everything. That shook her more than yelling ever could. Later that day, I checked her location on my phone. She didn't know I still had access. She'd turned it off weeks ago, but forgot to turn it back on after her last software update. She was back at the same apartment complex I'd followed her to a month ago. Only this time, she stayed longer. Hours. When she came home, I was in the garage. She walked in humming. Happy. Light. I watched her through the window. She didn't know I saw her pause. Didn't know I saw the way she checked herself in the mirror, the same way she used to do after dates with me, before everything dulled. She was glowing. Not for me. And that was fine, because I wasn't staying in her orbit much longer. She just didn't know it yet. A few days later, she asked if I wanted to go to dinner. Just like that. No occasion. No context. I raised an eyebrow. Us. She laughed. Yeah, who else? I nodded. Sure. Let me check my schedule. I didn't have plans, but I made her wait 3 hours before confirming. When we sat down at the restaurant, her choice, of course, she looked perfect. Hair done, makeup soft, dress that I hadn't seen in years. It used to make my heart pound. Now it just looked like armor. She smiled across the table like nothing had ever happened. Like we were just two people in love, catching up. I played along, ordered her favorite wine, let her talk. She asked questions. How's work? How's your mom? You still thinking about fixing up the shed? I gave short answers. No detail. No warmth. She noticed. Tried to laugh it off. You're quiet tonight. I've had a lot on my mind. Anything I can help with? That made me laugh. Not loud. Just enough. You already have, I said. She paused. That look, half confusion, half fear. The waiter interrupted us. Saved her from responding. But the damage was done. The smile didn't return. The mask cracked. On the way home, she reached for my hand in the car. I let her take it. But I didn't hold back. Just let it sit there. Passive. Empty. At a red light. She said, I'm really trying, you know. I nodded slowly. I can see that. But you're still so far away. I looked straight ahead. No. I'm exactly where I've always been. Silence. Then, that's not fair. I didn't answer. Because the truth is, I had been there. Fully. Until she left first. Quietly. Piece by piece. Emotionally. Physically. I was just late realizing I was the only one left. Back at the house, she lingered in the doorway. Like she wanted to say something. But nothing came out. I went to the bedroom, closed the door, and listened. No footsteps. No knock. No sound. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling again. Only this time, I wasn't empty. I was building something. A version of me that didn't need her. Didn't ask for anything. Didn't explain himself. A man who'd stopped chasing the ghost of who she used to be. She was still in the house. But in my mind, I'd already moved out. And that's when she started to feel it. Not my anger. Not my words. Just the cold vacuum of someone who used to care, and now simply doesn't. The shift came on a Tuesday. Ordinary morning. No storm. No signs. She walked into the kitchen wearing the hoodie I'd given her years ago, the one she used to steal from the dryer. Morning, she said softly. I nodded. Morning. She poured coffee. Sat across from me. No phone. No distraction. Just her. Staring. I've been thinking, she said. I looked up. She hesitated. I know I've been distant. Cold. Unfair. I said nothing. She fidgeted with her cup. But I want to fix things. I nodded once. Okay. She blinked. That's it. What do you want me to say? I don't know something. I looked at her calm. You didn't want anything when I begged. When I asked. When I tried. She flinched. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't lean forward. Just let the words sit there like quiet bricks on the table. She swallowed. I was confused. You had time to get unconfused. I didn't cheat, she said quickly. I didn't ask. She stared at me, like she was trying to read something in my eyes. Trying to find the old version of me that would fight, cry, plead. But he was gone. Dead and buried. All that was left was this version, steady, unshakable, quiet. What do you want from me? She whispered. Nothing, I said. And that's the problem. Silence. I still love you, she said. I nodded. You loved me most when I was quiet, remember? When I didn't ask. Didn't want. Just paid. Just stayed. That's not fair. Maybe not. But it's true. She reached across the table, took my hand. I let her. She squeezed. Please, let's try again. I looked at her hand in mine and said, no. She froze. Not because I yelled, but because I didn't. I'm tired, I said. Not angry, not bitter, just tired. Her lip trembled. She pulled her hand back. I can change. You already did. I stood, rinsed my cup, walked to the door. Where are you going? Out. For how long? I looked back, one last time. Long enough. And I left her sitting there in my hoodie, in my kitchen, with my silence echoing louder than any slam of a door ever could. I didn't come back that night. Didn't text. Didn't call. No explanation. She tried both, though. For texts by noon. 2 missed calls. 1 voicemail. Can we talk? I'm sorry. I get it now. I'll do better. But none of it landed. Not anymore. I wasn't angry. Wasn't vindictive. I was just done. And when a man like me is done, it's quiet. I spent the night at a hotel 20 minutes away. Paid in cash. Slept like a man who didn't owe anyone anything. Next morning, I went back to the house. Not to make peace. To separate lives. She was on the couch, still in the same clothes, like she hadn't moved. Eyes swollen. Phone in hand. She stood when I walked in. You left. I did. You didn't say anything. I didn't have to. She took a step closer. So what now? You just walk out and that's it? I held up a folder. Inside, copies of our bills, a list of who paid what, account closures, asset splits. She took it like it might burn her hands. I already talked to a lawyer, I said. These are clean. Fair. No drama. Tears welled in her eyes. You're serious. I nodded. I don't scream. I don't beg. I just finish. She opened the folder with shaking hands. You're really leaving. I looked around the house. The memories. The nights I begged without words. The silence I got in return. Then back to her. I left a long time ago. Today, I'm just packing. She sank onto the couch like the air had gone out of her lungs. I didn't think you had it in you. That's the thing, I said. You never really saw me. Just the version that stayed. The one that paid. The man who waited. She didn't argue. Because there was nothing left to say, I went to the bedroom. Took only what was mine. Clothes. Tools. Photos. Dignity. No theatrics. No cruelty. Just exit. I left the keys on the counter. She watched me from the kitchen, but didn't stop me. Maybe because she knew if she tried, I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't cry. I would just leave again. And this time, not even her guilt could follow. A week passed before she reached out again. Blocked number. Voicemail only. Please call me back. I don't even know where you are. I just want to talk. I listened. Didn't delete it. Didn't respond either. The next day, she sent a message through her sister. A long paragraph about how she was going to therapy, how she'd been reflecting, how she realized she took things for granted. I didn't reply. Silence is a language. And I was fluent now. 3 days later, I saw her car outside my new place. I watched from the upstairs window. Lights off. She stood at the door. Knocked once. Then again. No yelling. No crying. Just waiting. Like maybe I'd do what I always did. Open the door. After 10 minutes, she slid something under it. Then left. It was a letter. Handwritten. Apologies. Confessions. Half-truths wrapped in emotion. Mentions of the pressure she felt. How lost she'd been. And that classic line, I never stopped loving you. At the bottom, if there's even 1% of you that still believes in us, please call. I folded it neatly. Put it in a drawer. Not to save, to finish. Because I wasn't angry. I was just free. 2 days later, she sent one more message. Short. Final. I get it. You're gone. Just know I finally see it. Everything. I don't blame you. I read it once. Then archived the thread. It wasn't closure. It wasn't justice. But it was acknowledgement. And I'd take that over lies. That night, I sat on the back porch, watching the streetlights blink through the rain. Quiet. Alone. Peaceful. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. I stared at the screen. Then let it ring out. Because some ghosts don't deserve to hear your voice again. Not even as a goodbye. I didn't rebuild fast. I didn't find a new woman. Didn't post quotes about healing. Didn't turn into some version of myself I thought the world wanted. I just got quiet. And from that quiet, I built. A small apartment with wood floors that don't creak when you walk at night. Tools in the garage, lined up like soldiers. A coffee pot that makes exactly 1 cup in the morning. I started waking up before my alarm again. Started jogging. Not to get in shape, just to feel my lungs move. There's no music playing all the time anymore. Just silence. It doesn't feel empty. It feels earned. My friends ask sometimes if I've talked to her. I haven't. She still texts on holidays. Hope you're well. No pictures. No updates. Just echoes. I never reply. Because peace isn't something you announce. It's something you live. I still think about the version of me that waited. That man who sat quietly beside her, begging in silence. I don't hate him. I just know he's not me anymore. She taught me something. Not with words. Not with apologies. But with the weight of her absence. She taught me that love without respect is just control. That presence without effort is just occupation. That waiting for someone to return to who they were is like waiting for ashes to catch fire again. You bury it. You move on. You build something that won't burn so easily next time. And maybe, if you're lucky, you finally become the kind of man who doesn't beg for love. Because he already loves the life he's built without it.